Welcome to Part 3 of Legend of the Nuka-Slugger. This series uses the Fallout Wasteland warfare game system to follow the exploits of the Nuka-Slugger, a psychopathic wasteland denizen who loves nothing but baseball and Nuka-Cola. Today's adventure takes place just outside the walls of a small settlement. "We've got a force of super mutants on its way," says the militia captain. "They're probably going to hit the front line in an all-out assault, so we're going to concentrate our forces there." "So why am I standing here all by my lonesome?" replies the slugger. "We're going to close and lock up this back entrance," she says, "but there's always a chance of a mutant having a handful of brain cells and trying to send a force around the side to try and flank us. Your job is to keep them from stabbing us in the back." "So it's just me and my bat against whatever greenskins show up? Sounds like a fair fight." "The way you talk yourself up, I assume it won't be a problem. There is an old turret system set up, though, if you want some backup. Just watch out. It can be a bit finicky." "Well, that's just peachy." Here's the battlefield, seen from overhead. The slugger will be setting up on the right side at the objective point. The deactivated turret is in the middle, and then there's a little bit of terrain scattered around. Despite how this piece of terrain looks, these doors are closed and chained up. There's a thick padlock holding the chains together. The super mutants want to break the lock and get through to the settlement. The slugger has to prevent that. The lock has 6 HP, 2 physical and energy armor, and is unaffected by radiation damage. It's very small, so any shooting takes a -2 penalty if it's yellow range away, -4 if it's between yellow and blue, and -8 if it's further than blue away. Much more effective to just bash at it. The turret is currently deactivated. A use computers check is needed to turn it on. If the check succeeds, then the turret activates and can determine friend from foe. If the check fails normally, then it can be tried again. If the check X's out, the turret starts up, but has had its firing data cleared, so it'll fire at everyone. If you've been following this series, none of this will be a surprise. The slugger uses the Veteran Raider unit card. Instead of using the normal Veteran Raider equipment, though, he has a custom baseball-themed loadout. He's got a baseball bat and the Big Leagues perk, which lets him re-roll 1 black die if it comes up blank. He's got a single baseball grenade, and the baseball cap ups his range blue to black, the furthest it can be. With the additional +2 bonus, he only needs to roll a 9 or better to hit with the grenade, which is almost the best it could be. Some brilliant mutant tactician did actually send a flanking force, or maybe these two were runts that split off from the main group to try and raid on their own. There's a regular super mutant with a machete and a pipe rifle, and a skirmisher with a nail board. Their gear isn't the best it can be, but keeping 2 super mutants at around 100 caps is not easy. Setup for the scenario is pretty simple. The turret should be blue away from the objective point, and then the invading force has to set up black or further away from the turret, on the left side of the board. With only 1 model, the slugger has initiative and starts off. He double moves into cover to prepare next turn to fire up the turret. Surprising everyone, the skirmisher decides that it wants to go for the objective instead of rushing headlong at the slugger, so it pushes up along the side of the map, staying in cover. The regular mutant has no patience for this strategy stuff. It moves up into cover and takes a shot at the slugger. It hits, but the single point of damage is shrugged off by armor. End of turn 1, and the stage is set. Advantage stays with the slugger, so he activates first. He flips some switches to turn the turret back on, and a blast of sparks and smoke blow out from the top. "Error, error, error, targeting data corrupted," barks the robotic voice. "Ah, shit," sighs the slugger. With that failed roll, the turret is now active, and will start blasting whenever anyone does anything, 3 times a turn. Not wanting to get peppered, the slugger prepares instead of taking another action. The regular super mutant rolls its AI and decides to engage in melee recklessly. It charges, and the turret fires in reaction, but the shot goes totally wide. The mutant charges the slugger, and the turret misses again, but by less of a margin this time. The slugger uses his reaction token to take a swat at the mutant. However, since it's a quick action, it misses. To add insult to injury, that swing, and miss, triggers the final reaction of the turret, which hits and knocks 2 damage into the slugger. The luck die in the photo here indicates that the turret hit its intended target in the melee. I do roll the armor die to determine who is hit, according to the rules, but just use the lucky-unlucky result to report it. The skirmisher changes their mind about being mission-focused and charges in to join the scrap. At the end of turn 2, everything's clumped up in the middle. Not wanting to continue getting piled on, the slugger backs out behind cover. The regular mutant takes a swing with its machete, but even with the extra green dye from the charge, misses widely. The turret fires, hits, and gets another damage through on the slugger. "Goddamn hunk of junk," he swears. Then, to avoid further shots, he prepares. The mutant decides to go for the objective and heads out. It gets a single point of damage into its back from the turret, though. Then, it charges the objective, and the turret misses with its final reaction. With the turret wound down for the turn, the slugger uses his prepare token to take a quick charge action, which is close enough to get him in contact with the mutant. The skirmisher also changes its mind again to focus on the objective. A simple move and charge gets it up in contact with the lock. At the end of turn 3, the turret has started putting a lot of damage into the slugger, and the super mutants are at the gate, fully charged with bonus dice. Things are starting to look dicey. The slugger starts off turn 4 by knocking a point of damage into the mutant. Not bad, but more would have been better. His attack triggers the turret, though, which shoots at him, but ends up hitting the mutant. It puts 2 solid damage into the greenskin. "Finally, this friggin' thing is helping me out a little bit," he chuckles. After the attack, he uses the slide movement option to get into base contact with the skirmisher. Whether or not it's a good idea to engage 2 super mutants in melee at the same time, we'll see. Well, why worry about 2-to-1 odds when you can even them up? The slugger leaps into the air and brings his bat down hard on the mutant's dome, and it crumples to the ground. 2 unblocked damage is enough, and the slugger even gets a quick action prepare out of the deal. This flurry of activity is noticed by the turret, but even with the larger target, it still doesn't land the shot. The skirmisher decides to swing at the slugger instead of its objective. It would have been a big hit if it connected, but the nailboard sails through empty space. The turret fires into the melee and actually tags the slugger instead of the skirmisher. It's alright though, his armor shrugs off the hit. He also gets to use his reaction to take a quick swat at the skirmisher. Enraged by the glancing shot from behind, he knocks a solid 2 damage into the mutant. Definitely some ribs being crushed there. At the end of turn 4, the brawlers are brawling. Each of them has 7 total health, but the slugger has taken 3 damage and the skirmisher 2. However, the slugger also has 3 armor and the skirmisher also 2, so it's going to be an interesting race, especially considering the turret in the mix. Now that it's a one-on-one fight, the advantage passes over to the mutant side, so the skirmisher goes first. It scores a solid hit, 2 damage and 2 broken armor, and the slugger blocks none of it. Another hit like that, and he's done for. The turret chugs back online and fires a volley, but it goes off into the distance. The skirmisher's second swing also connects, but the slugger blocks the damage with armor. Wood clangs against wood in a board-on-bat collision. The turret's second shot also misses, probably just following the first stream of off-target rounds. Wanting to minimize his chances of catching a friendly round in the back, the slugger pulls back to cover. The turret shot misses, as does the skirmisher's withdrawal attack. I just forgot to take a photo of the latter. With the turret cooling down, the slugger takes this moment to whip a fastball grenade at the skirmisher's head. It's not ideal, since the blast would probably hit the lock as well, but he needs to get that mutant out of commission, or else it won't matter anyway. He winds up, throws, and the grenade sails past the mutant, hits the container wall behind it, and deflects off to the left and detonates harmlessly away from the entire battle. As turn 5 ends, things are looking dicey for the slugger. He's only got 2 HP left, and has to knock 5 off the skirmisher, plus, the advantage is coming back to him. Often that's a good thing, but with the turret regaining its reaction tokens every turn, it means that his 2 actions are going to get peppered. Without another ranged attack option, the slugger charges back in. The extra black die on the attack might help turn the tide. The turret fires and hits. Fortunately, though, the slugger's got a tough hide, so none of the damage gets through. His follow-up attack is a good solid hit. 3 damage in, 1 blocked by armor, and 2 going through. The skirmisher has 3 left. The turret's second reaction shot also hits, but is also deflected by armor. If any one of these gets those 2 damage through, the slugger goes down. So whether this is his actual armor keeping him going, or just being incredibly pissed off, it's getting the job done. For now. Now the skirmisher's up. With the advantage rolling over at the start of the next turn, it gets 4 attacks in a row to try to get the slugger out of the game. The first swing is a miss. Strike 1. The turret shows its support by also missing. The barrel droops as it enters its cooldown phase. The second swing is also a miss. Strike 2. Rolling into turn 7, and the third swing connects, and breaks all 3 of the slugger's armor. 1 damage goes through. This is it. If he takes any more damage, he's down for the count. The turret, thankfully, misses. The skirmisher's final swing is also a miss, but only barely. With 2 damage and 2 armor breaks, if that 7 had been a 6 or lower, it would have been impossible for the slugger to survive. With 2 damage coming in and only 1 armor left, at least one of the damage would have gotten through guaranteed, and that would be it. The turret continues to ineffectively spray bullets around the swirling melee. Now it's the slugger's turn. He also gets 4 swings due to the advantage rollover at the end of the turn. First swing is a hard miss. Strike 1. Daka daka. But nothing happens. Second swing is a miss as well. Strike 2. The cog gives the slugger a quick action that he could use to prepare, but since the turn rolls around to him next, he'll lose it once he activates. Into turn 8, and the third swing connects. 2 big damage goes through with nothing getting blocked. Now the 2 bruisers are equally battered, and the next one to take a hit is going down. The turret celebrates by blowing some more lead confetti through the air. With his final attempt, before the skirmisher would get another 4 attempts, the slugger absolutely demolishes the beast. All of its armor smashed through, and 3 total damage going in for maximum overkill. Every ounce of fury in the slugger's muscles sent that chunk of hardwood straight through what remained of the mutant's frontal lobe. The monster doesn't even have the energy left to mutter a curse as it slumps down defeated. The turret does not quite agree that the battle's over, but is unable to drive the point home. With all the actual aggressors out of commission, the scenario is beaten. Back inside the settlement, the battered and bruised slugger and militia captain debrief in between swigs of rum and Nukas. "You at least had even sides," says the slugger, wincing. "I was outnumbered 2-1. "Yeah," replies the captain. "But they were green and visible, right? You didn't see any giant invisible purple mutants?" "How would I have seen them if they was invisible?" "Wise ass. Did the turret help you out at all?" "After trying to turn me into Swiss cheese, it was a really great thing to bash on while I waited for yous to finish up." "Yeah, I'm starting to think this settlement's whole defense grid needs rewiring." "Good luck with that. Once I get my caps from the mayor tomorrow morning, I'm out of here." And that's a wrap on Part 3. Definitely a bit more dramatic than Part 2 was, for sure. In case anyone was wondering, I do not alter the dice rolls at all. I just record the game as it happens. I also haven't ever replayed a scenario to just get a slugger win on the books. There were some times this game that I thought I was going to have to write it down as a loss. This is actually one part of a 2-part parallel story combined with another battle report focusing on what happened at the front gates of the settlement. If you want to find out what happened there, click on the link. The slugger's adventures are far from over, though. Keep an eye out for the next installment, coming soon.